Tip of the day number 6. Health workers, stress and the feelings associated with it are by no means a reflection that you cannot do your job or you are weak. Need help and support? Please contact us at the hotline 311, psychosocial support at 722-6575 or 518-4157. Brought to you by PAHO, the OACS Commission, and UNICEF.
The opinions expressed on this TV program by the hosts, co-hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of UTV or its affiliates.
Hello and welcome. This is the Revolution, coming to you from Flow Channel 124 on, Flow. Of course, to our radio station partners, I want to say thank you so much for carrying us on your airwaves. That being Hits Radio, 92.1 in the north, 91.1 in the south, Asylum, and all the DJs who lock it down, and of course the morning programs, afternoon programs, all good. I'm sending a shout out to all those on Facebook, on Twitch, on Instagram, and of course to now us being on YouTube, on UTV 124 for all. Thank you very much for locking in. Yes, first let me start off by thanking everyone for the wonderful birthday wishes. I got a delivery of Acras this morning, and I can tell you that I have been powered by Acras. You know the thing about Acras, you always think you can just eat a little one turns to a little 2, and before you know it, you goss because you eat like 30. And now I have what is known as ethnic fatigue, aka niggeritis is a joke. Yep, okay, a couple of birthday greetings. What a fantastic day to be born. Yes, we want to send birthday greetings. No, I can't take any calls now. I'd like to send birthday greetings to Wilma Collymore. A happy birthday coming from the People's Republic of Labrie, and the greetings coming from Ali Girl. Yep. We'd also like to send birthday greetings going out, big up going out to Ralston, aka Raleigh from Denry, and Ayana and Liana Hippolyte from Soufre. A happy birthday from Ophelia, and a big up to a wonderful father, Winston, aka Pekka. Also, I'd like to send a birthday greeting, special birthday greetings going out to Clara Favre of Entrepot, celebrating your birthday today. I hope you have as good a birthday, if not better, than the birthday that I'm going to have, but I'm assuring you that I will, and I am having a great birthday. For those who talk about you don't want to work on your birthday, for the many who are out of work right now, I will be appreciative of being able to channel my energies and to be employed at least in that sense, and I do feel for all who are not working today. I am thankful, and I must say that when it comes to my birthday, you know, when you're a kid, you just want stuff. When you get older, you realize that getting older really and truly is a privilege. I am thankful for a couple of things. One, being alive. I have lost friends, and I don't take that for granted. People that I admire, for everybody from Mr. Wilkie Larcher to people that I got to know in this journey, like Bang from New Extension. You know, a lot of different people, of course. I always have to refer to the ones in a generation, Francis Lebo de Lima. I also am very thankful for my parents managing to be alive to help me celebrate this day, both of my parents. And of course, I want to tell you that I am very thankful and proud of a child who I'm a guardian for, and that being Najima Kaylee Morrill, who is a 17-year-old tennis phenom, does her schoolwork, is very well disciplined, well mannered, and a beautiful child that I think is going to do so well in her life. And then comes my greatest achievement, my daughter, Christiane, Raven Christiane Hunt, who is nothing like her father. She is great looking, she is smart, she not only did her schoolwork, she has none of the craziness of her father. I don't know how she puts up with me, but I am so impressed with her. She's a boss, she's a world boss. It's the only way I can put it. I think she gets that from my parents and her grandparents and her mom, but me, I'm just happy to be along for the ride. It's a wonderful thing. I do want to send a shout out to Andre Paul, who wants to know why I did not take a clip of when this guy, John Lenny, the bobbolist that works for the CCC, he's over at CDF doing security or something like that, who would go and do, like, clean the graves for CCC and stuff like that, and present a list of dead people and then get paid on all those persons' names. That's the kind of petty crook type stuff. You know, for you to support Shasney, you yourself have to be a little bit corrupt or corruptible, and this guy is famous for that. But in that argument or debate, you telling me, Andre, that you did, and it tells me a lot about how you think, but you are telling me that you want me to take that clip and post that clip? Well, I'll cut it up today and I'll make sure that I send it to you, Andre. And all you're doing is just confirming what some just trying to put out of their mind. Because the good thing about Charlie is you know exactly who he is and where he is. Russell told you he's a sellout, he's a sellout. But you play the middle of the road stuff as much as you want, just like Timothy. So I'll send the clip for you later on this afternoon. One last shout out I want to send to the mayor of Independence City, Vero. Good afternoon to you. I hope you're having a wonderful day. So where do we start? Well, let's start with Mary and let's start with the dropping of the balls.
This is the one side. As you can see, it's facing down. Because that is
According to Health Minister Mary Isaac, every single St. Lucian who has contracted COVID-19 dropped the ball in some way. Further, Isaac says that non-adherence to the mask-wearing protocol has been St. Lucia's downfall.
The first responsibility is on you, is on the individual, the citizen. If everybody had obeyed the protocol, wear your mask like they do in Taiwan, 25 million people, we would not be where we are today. That is what we have to focus on. All we have to do is wear our mask, you know. So you go to somebody's home, your family, your friends, you have your mask on. It cannot spread.
Despite the minister's statements, there are reports that people become infected by the virus even after following all recommended protocols.
Not if you obey the protocols.
So do you think
but you see the proof in Taiwan.
So health professionals, Madam
If you obey the protocols and you don't drop your guard, you cannot get COVID.
Madam Minister,
That's the only thing we know for sure.
I personally know people with underlying issues who took the protocols very seriously and have ended up dead. So do you think that the protocols are foolproof?
Well, I think that wearing your mask can save you from getting COVID-19. That's all I'm telling you here. I do not have experience in COVID-19. Nobody does. There's no proven research that can say to us this, that, or that. The only thing we know is when we look at other larger populations that have survived better than we are surviving right now, and when you look at what they do, they wear their mask. That is all I can say about that.
Members of the media sought clarification on the minister's sentiments, considering doctors, police officers, and even the Deputy Commissioner of Police have all contracted the virus.
They dropped the ball somewhere. Anybody who has had it, dropped the ball. They either went to visit a family, a friend, they hug a person that they love that had it, and they got it. You understand? Just where, if you don't drop your guard, if I have it tomorrow, it's because I dropped my guard.
As of February 9th, St. Lucia had recorded over 2,100 total cases of the virus, as well as 22 COVID-19 related deaths.
You know, I genuinely cannot find a way to describe the way that Mary's mind seems to work, or the incoherence of her thoughts, or what it says about us as a people, for her to be literally in the top 2 or 3 most powerful positions in the country, because the Prime Minister, you will have probably the Minister of National Security, all right, because the Prime Minister is already the Minister of Finance, and especially in the middle of a pandemic, this is our Minister of Health. I just don't know how to put it anymore. But let's ask the obvious question as we all watch the news. So did Herman Gill drop the ball?
Vincent London was sworn in as a senator on Tuesday following a COVID-19 positive diagnosis for Senator Herman Gill Francis.
Oath of allegiance of new senator.
I, Vincent London, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to St. Lucia, and that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of St. Lucia, and will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. So help me God.
London, who is the United Workers' Party's candidate for Vieux-Fort North, said he welcomes the opportunity to serve in the Senate, albeit temporary, as it provides a good learning experience for future endeavors.
Madam President, some say this is a part of natural progression in the many chapters that are written for the life of Vincent London. I am therefore honored and filled with great humility. Though this elevation is temporal, it will forever remain a part of my personal record as well as that of St. Lucia.
Confirmation of the National Security Minister Herman Gill Francis's COVID-19 diagnosis came on Monday, April 19th, 2021, during a call into the Newspin program.
On Sunday, the 11th, my wife was diagnosed with COVID-19 and taken to VH. As out of abundance of caution, I took the antigen test at Tapio on the Monday, and it showed that it was negative. But again, I didn't want to take any chances, so I canceled the interview I had with my brother Claudius on the show for Monday night, and the show with Andre Paul on Tuesday the 13th. I then went and I retook the test on the 15th, but this time I took the PCR test, and it indicated that I was positive. I do not have any symptoms, and I think that one of the positives there is that I had already taken the first dose of the vaccine, which I think has helped. So I'm at home, quarantined.
It should be noted that confirmed cases are placed in isolation, and patients who are quarantined are considered people who may have been exposed to the virus and are awaiting test results or being monitored for the onset of symptoms during the incubation period. While the minister has not exhibited any symptoms of the viral disease, he has suspended official duties that includes deliberations in cabinet and participation in parliamentary proceedings over the past 15 days. Francis explains that modification of the diagnosis quickly gave way to concern for the people with whom he crossed paths in the ensuing days, members of the public and cabinet colleagues included. Given his high-profile status and busy schedule, the minister admits it's hard to tell how he contracted the virus.
I'm not too sure. Remember, like I told you, my wife had it, and most probably I may have contracted it there, but I'm not sure at all. But again, like you would understand as a budding politician now, I'm up and about, and I may have been the one to have infected her because my system is much stronger than hers. She has it. She having underlying conditions. So, like I said, up to a day like today, I'm not feeling any negative impact from the virus.
Senator Francis says the experience has proven very instructive, underscoring the message that COVID-19 does not discriminate, hence the need for compliance with public health measures and receiving the life-saving vaccines.
COVID-19 is a very, very, very serious and dangerous disease. So my advice to everybody is to maintain your physical distance from others, sanitize your hands frequently, wear your mask, avoid contact with persons who have flu-like symptoms, and yourself, if you are experiencing any sort of flu-like symptoms, headache, sore throat and so on, that you should take immediate action by going to visit your doctors.
Now, I don't wish ill health on anybody. And I would hope that this is a teachable moment to the Minister of Health, who should know better. If the police commissioner, at the time deputy police commissioner, had gotten COVID, there are a number of people who have gotten COVID inside government and they just won't say it, or they haven't said it officially over the last year. It's also instructive that he believes that the reason he's not experiencing heavy symptoms is because he got the first dose of the vaccine. So maybe that's for those who are promoting the vaccination or taking the vaccination, that's also a good PR plus. And I'm happy that he's not experiencing any symptoms. Like I said, I don't wish ill health on anybody, whether it's COVID or anything. It really doesn't matter. Now, the point in all of this is there's something weird going on. I get the fatigue over the issue of COVID. It's old, it's tired, it's not sexy anymore. But we still have a pandemic problem and situation on our hands. By the time that we're done with the COVAX shipment, we will have done just about 26,000 people first and second dose. That's only 1/6 of our population, which means that the rest of the population is still under threat. And even those who have been vaccinated still have to play their role, still have to wear their masks and everything else to protect everyone else and protect themselves from being a vector. Now, Stephen King, and I've shared this meme on WhatsApp, put up a post on his page. That's Dr. Stephen King. Can I put that up, please? And it says, and we can zoom in a little bit on it, because I really just want, it says, mirror, mirror on the wall, COVID-19 reality check. For those on radio, I'll read it out. St. Lucia, 4,401 cases. And it's 67 deaths is what he wrote, but since then it's now 69. That's where the +2 comes in. So St. Lucia, 4,441 cases and 69 deaths. Martinique, 9,890 cases and 64 deaths. Barbados, 3,773 cases and 44 deaths. Antigua, 1,216 cases and 31 deaths. St. Vincent, 1,819 cases and 10 deaths. Montserrat, 20 cases, 1 death. Grenada, 155 cases, 1 death. Dominica, 165 cases, 0 deaths. St. Kitts, 44 cases, 0 deaths. Anguilla, 29 cases, 0 deaths. You know, that meme, that post, it speaks volumes, and coming from a former CMO, Chief Medical Officer, and a member of the Medical and Dental Association. It's just the figures. And we are always having sort of like the political football of whether we're doing well, whether we're doing badly. You hear people feeling that the death of their loved ones is trivialized, and then for others, you know, it's egregious. But folks, the numbers are there. And the point in all of this is we cannot pretend, even if for political purposes, that COVID is going away, because you can already see it's a telegraph punch. The last election was June 6, 2016. We are literally about, a couple of weeks away from that. Now you get to the Gazette. Let's show the Extraordinary Gazette. And I didn't deal with it as much as I could in the interest of time, but it is issue number 22, Friday, April 16, 2021. Published under the authority of the National Printing Corporation. So let's go through that. And let's zoom in from here. The following documents published with and form part of this Extraordinary Gazette. number 67 of 2021, and number 68 of 2021. One being the COVID Prevention and Control Prohibition of Assembly, so that's about the crowding, and Prevention and Control Physical Distancing. And let's go down on that. Right, keep going. In exercise of the power conferred under Section 16 of the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Act, the minister responsible for health, that's Mary Isaac, makes this order. This order to be cited as the COVID-19 Prevention and Control Assembly Bill, Order number 2021, restriction on social activities. So basically, what it is telling you is that a person shall not host a mass crowd event, competitive or high contact sporting activity. Somehow I don't understand how that doesn't include golf, when even if they tell you it's social distancing, they still sit right next to each other in a golf cart. A social event except with no more than 10 persons or his or her immediate family, with no loud music. Apparently loud music gives you COVID. In the case of nighttime boat excursion for crewed yacht members and family boaters, with prior notice of the excursion plan being given to the lighthouse before the journey. In other words, you can't go on a boat ride. It's only Chasney boats that can go out. This section does not prevent, and let's scroll down, a non-contact sporting activity. It doesn't prevent a person from training or exercising, whether indoor or outdoor, through gym workouts, if the physical distancing protocols specified in the COVID-19 Bill Prevention Act. Control of physical distancing, an athlete from participating in one-on-one coaching. So let's go down to the next one. There's faith-based organizations and so on and so forth. So in this right here, immediate household in relation to an individual means the spouse, child. A social event includes a birthday celebration, so that's me today, a retirement celebration, a marriage celebration. Now here's the best part, folks. Up to now, weddings, you have extreme limitations, but those tourists that come to St. Lucia have all the bells and whistles for their weddings in the hotels. Incredible, the discrimination. Let's go down, scroll down, because I want to go to the next bill. So you get the gist of this bill, because like I said, I didn't deal with it as in detail as I want. But right here, stop here, right? This order expires the 16th of May. And again, I tell you, look at that date. The 16th of May, 2021, right? And it's made on the 16th of April, and the minister responsible, Mary Isaac. Now let's scroll down again. And you see in the next bill, same basic stuff. But I want to get to the graph. And it's the point of the 16th of May is, no, go down, scroll down. Right. The point of the 16th of May is that, folks, is it just me, or do you not see what's coming? The government is going to squeeze everybody, let you suffer, especially all the small business owners and shop operators, and let's go, right, here we are. So in the schedule, essential services. Now, I want you to think about this. Somebody tells you essential services, a hospital, a clinic, public, private pharmacies, police, fire, emergency services, safety and security, private security, public transportation services, public service, immigration. All of these things make sense. And then scroll down. What I still do not get, and the pure bias of it here, is, okay, I will even take customs, brokerage, air and seaports. I understand essential services, right? Sanitation, especially in these COVID times, cleaning operations. But somebody has to explain to me, keep going. Right. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Call centers, right? Go back up. Call centers, all services. And I highlighted this before. If you tell me fishing, yes. If you tell me farming, yes. If you tell me some construction, I'll even accept St. Jude's Hospital reconstruction project, although this is the same government that stopped the St. Jude's project for 2.5 years. But my question is, why is it that hundreds of young people go to call centers, and somehow, isn't that literal bias? You can't have a bar open with 10, 20 people, but you can have call centers open? And let's come off of that. Because the May 16th, I'll tell you what I see is going to happen. May 16th, after you've been squeezed, I think what the government is going to do, the Chasney administration, May 16th is a Sunday, I'm betting you by the Saturday after May 16th, that's like the 22nd, you will see UWP motorcade, blockos, big rallies. They'll have rallies for the next 3 weeks to a month. They'll bathe the country in money. $20, $30 million. It'll seem like manna from heaven, money growing on trees. Never mind, it's your money that they funneled and they took through. Remember, they borrowed over $500 million for COVID, and you see the kwas, the kakada that you're getting out of that? They're going to try to buy you with your own money. They're going to come with a big shock and awe microwave campaign. Forget all your troubles. Get drunk in the election excitement and vote for Shastney again. Watch it. You will see it happening. And in all of that, there will still be COVID. But they cannot run an extended campaign for 2-3 months, because if they run an extended campaign, we will have time to see the numbers spike. So they have to do something like a month campaign, win the elections, and by the time the spike comes, nobody can do anything, because St. Lucians have proven that they are unable to rise up properly unless there's an election. You see? So folks, we have an idea of when elections will be. It'll be around the same time as the last election, June 2016. It's just a matter of whether he honors the date or he goes over the date, but Shastney don't have no shame. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at. They're boxed in now. So it's up to us now. But the real problem is, in all of the COVID bill, remember, it doesn't apply to expats or tourists. Remember that all the restrictions that we are going through, Adrian Ogier put it perfectly. He said, it's like let's take the economy as a stool. And you basically you tilt in the stool on one side, so everything is tourism. So already the economy is off balance. And then you put in pressure on the other sectors because they don't know where they're going to land. Agriculture, fisheries, diversification. No, let's just keep everything on tourism. And the problem is, folks, like Dr. Alphonsus Senrose pointed out, we will not get rid of COVID unless we deal with the healthcare situation first and foremost. Nothing we do politically, nothing we do economically can make up for the fact that we need to have tourists stop walking around the hotels without masks and going on tours without masks. Until that happens, St. Lucia is in the exact same position and waiting for another round of vaccines so we can go 10,000 by 10,000, and who knows how long that could take.
So this is footage I shot. It's 1,000 frames a second, which is roughly 40 times slower than how it appeared in real time. And I just counted from 1 to 4. Those are the numbers you can see at the bottom of the screen. And I was blown away at the amount of particles that came out of my mouth. Not only from the spit, sort of at the beginning of each word, but after I'm done with the word, particularly the word for, you can see like a fine mist come out of my mouth. And that was actually really surprising that I could see that with the naked eye. The particles that are so light that they don't fall. And I wasn't even shouting that loud. That was like a medium volume of talking there.
Yeah, I think what you've just shown is a graphically beautiful demonstration of the importance of wearing masks and face coverings, because as the film shows now, you're saying the same thing, 1, 2, 3, 4,
right? And
very little is coming out from the mask. So, we say, and I think graphic demonstrations like you've just shown now really solidify that. One of the reasons why it's so important to wear a face covering is that we know now that about 40 to 45% of the people who are infected don't have any symptoms, and yet they have virus in their nasopharynx.
In terms of the visitors, we put in the strictest protocols. Unless if we are willing to prioritize our own people and their welfare, and including the welfare of individuals who are expected to go out to work, who are being asked to go out into these areas, which are effectively high-risk environments. And we're asking them to do so, but we're not ensuring that they are being able to do so in a truly safe environment. Because what we have currently is not quarantine. It's really not quarantine. And I think if anything we should be learning from the month of January, it is that. But it does not appear, based on what we're seeing coming out of the statements made by the Prime Minister yesterday, that there's a willingness to change. That there's really a willingness to go the route of doing what is necessary to be able to protect the lives of people at this point in time. And this is perhaps a difficult reality and a difficult truth to speak, but it has to be spoken. Because we are dealing with human beings, and we can all take the responsibility of wearing our mask. But if we are wearing our mask and the visitor is not wearing theirs, then it defeats the whole point, because really and truly you wear your mask to prevent yourself from spreading the disease. That's the first and foremost reason why you're wearing your mask. That's actually the biggest benefit from mask wearing, so that you do not infect somebody else. So if you have a situation where all the staff are properly wearing their masks, and you have visitors, guests at properties who aren't wearing their masks, there's still a major risk that we're dealing with.
Will I get COVID-19 from the vaccine? No, you will not get COVID-19 from the vaccine. If you remember, the vaccine is not the virus. It is simply a genetic code which helps the body to make the protein to recognize the virus. Sometimes after you've had the vaccine, you may get fever, body aches or headaches. This is not COVID. This is your body simply learning to recognize it and to prepare you to fight the actual virus.
This is a message from the St. Lucia Medical and Dental Association.
The following is a paid political announcement.
On behalf of the community of Olemon Granivere Dennery, we would like to say a heartfelt thank you to Senator Ferropolius for the work that she has commenced in our community. As a result of this, we now have access to quality roads and better drainage. We do appreciate it. We look forward to working with you in the future, and we wish you the best of luck in the next general election.
We shall ensure that the running of the OKU is not privatized and remains under the control and management of government and the people of St. Lucia. Universal access to healthcare remains a priority of a Labour government, and we shall continue to process we started since we were last in office to establish a universal healthcare system. We believe that accessible and affordable healthcare is the greatest priority of an SLP government. As part of our healthcare system, we shall encourage and support healthy lifestyles as a complementary health policy initiative, because too many of our citizens suffer from non-communicable diseases like hypertension and diabetes.
The preceding was a paid political announcement.
Watching UTV, TV for you.
Prime Minister Alan Shastny delivered the 2021-2022 budget under the theme Adapting, Overcoming and Persevering. Local businessman and political commentator Everestus Jamari says while the budget was delivered with gusto, the content was lacking. Genevieve Gonzague reports.
There is no doubt that the COVID-19 pandemic has affected St. Lucia to a great magnitude, and the effects will be felt long after the virus is under control. On Tuesday, Prime Minister Alan Shastney presented the budget address for the financial year 2021-2022 under the theme Adapting, Overcoming and Persevering, despite the challenges brought on by COVID-19. The 4-hour address sought to explain the policy agenda of the current administration and to provide the rationale and framework which underpins the expenditure programs to be implemented in the financial year. Local businessman and former independent senator Revolucian says the presentation had very little substance.
I have to say he delivered it with a lot of gusto and enthusiasm, but while I say it would be long on style, it was very short on substance. In that, after it all, you sat back and think, okay, what is the takeaway from this budget presentation? And I couldn't really put my hands on anything tangible that came out of this budget. It is very much lacking, I think, in substance.
Mr. Speaker, having established the raison d'etre for this government's infrastructure program, as well as the installation of water and electricity supply networks, we'll continue to ensure that we have a cadre of healthcare personnel, which is the tax regime, to some semblance of normalcy. It is plain sight for all. While we have been fighting, although the gradual recovery number of within the we are, however, the electricity subsidy program of 2008 to 2029. The agricultural sector of taking our stewardship, experiencing resurgences. Mr. Speaker, as a direct in the post-pandemic area. The neglect that comprise connectivity through the hybrid of virtual and face-to-face elements would enable us to do just that.
There were many instances when he was not leading the battle from the front.
A lot of what he said was against the backdrop of the challenges of COVID, the COVID pandemic, and still many people have not received income support while we borrowed money for that purpose. A lot of people remained, in a very difficult situation. There's a lot of hurt, poverty. People are struggling, and they haven't received the income support that they should have received. So generally, in terms of his delivery, I think generally he did deliver with a certain level of excitement and confidence. But that's what he's good at. But in terms of substance, very little.
Well, I have to agree, because if I am looking at this and I'm saying, okay, what's in it for the little man? What's in it for the small businesses? What's the way forward that anybody can bank on? What's the plan? How are we going to stop the negatives, and how are we going to make it through? What are the timelines? Where's the medium-term plan? Where's the soulagement? Where's the part where people get some sort of social support, something to the safety nets that are needed right now, particularly for the elderly, for the youth? What's the plan? What are you doing? But like I said, I guess I agree as well with Mr. Jamari. I must say, it was, to me, the man even quoted Martin Luther King, So, the performance there really was an Academy Award winner.
We know we are strong because in our time of need, that strength emerged. That, Mr. Speaker, is perhaps the most valuable lesson of all. Mr. Speaker, we have risen to the challenge of COVID-19. But as we continue to do so, we must look further ahead. I repeat, what I have said previously, that COVID-19 will not define us, is just another obstacle on our development journey. Martin Luther King, in delivering a speech in 1967 on the Vietnam conflict, said, and I quote, "We are now faced with the fact, my friends, that tomorrow is today. We are comforted with the fierce urgency of now. In this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such a thing as being too late.
I can assure you, Martin Luther King did not say conundrum. But I do think it's too late. It's too late for the bullshit. People aren't buying it, bro.
As of November, we knew that most of the declines had been underestimated by approximately 50%. So the changes in the major indicators, debt, revenue, expenditure, imports, exports, impact on various sectors, culture, tourism, had all been underestimated by, and on average, 40 to 50%. So that our ability to capture the impact, the real impact of this economic crisis has not proven to be terribly accurate. So it's for us to just, there's a lot of rhetoric in the budget. There's a lot of what we must do and what we should do, and that is very commendable as a policy statement. But when you look for how the actual programs are going to support the logic or the philosophy or the economic strategy that is espoused, you're not finding the substance in the actual plans for expenditure, particularly strategic expenditure in strategic subjects. In strategic sectors, sorry. I want to also jump in here on the question of the larger economic strategy which Carlton is touching on. We have known for some time that tourism-led economies in the Caribbean are the worst performing. And that has been true and pointed out, and I have said so more than once by esteemed people, including the managing director of the IMF, when she met with Caribbean heads in Jamaica about 5 years ago. So we have known the trajectory for this particular model of economic development is not sound. And to continue on that path is going to continue to undermine and to show up the weaknesses, the structural weaknesses in the economy. And if you know what people are going through on a daily basis in this country and have been going through for the last 12 months, having had their jobs and their mortgages and their car loans and their life insurance put on the line, then it seems to me that you cannot simply continue to say how great it is and how wonderful it will be. There has to be some transformative strategy in the budget that addresses short term and which also makes provision for the catastrophe. Ralph Gonsalves is learning that lesson the very, very hard way right as we speak. And it is not surprising that he should fail and to tears, because it is largely an impossible task that St. Vincent is now facing on top of COVID. And they did not even close, so they did not have as much of an economic impact as felt here.
In fact, I think they were the best performing actually out of all the islands.
Yes. Well, St. Vincent is a bit of an enigma, as we know. Antigua used to be the enigma. I think now it is St. Vincent. But heaven forbid if we have a hurricane. We got away last year. Heaven forbid if we have a hurricane. And I would have liked to have seen some of that reality sinking in as we went through the budget this time.
But the challenge here, interjecting, is that there's no clear strategy. There seems to be a clear reliance on tourism, and a very strange form of tourism, one that doesn't guarantee any inputs from the local economy into the tourism product. And that's the danger. You have certain brands that are coming in, and instead of purchasing, whether it's hot sauce or other products, they're flying it in from their mother island. It's clear, you speak about St. Vincent. One of the reasons St. Vincent has been doing very well is the activity that takes place in the Grenadines, and it's called yachting. It's called mega yacht boating. Rich people flying in and buying stuff and spending.
And it's recession proof.
Exactly. And during COVID, all the rich people were on mega yachts in the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Rim, spending, and in the Grenadines. Some of them got fired for getting into the Grenadines too soon. But having said that, there isn't a strategy to reduce the reliance on this type of tourism that we become addicted to. And second, I didn't see in the budget an analysis of the present private sector, the businesses that have closed down, in which sectors and what we can do or provide to remedy so that persons can jumpstart young entrepreneurs. The reliance on this form of tourism is dangerous, and when you align it with the type of borrowing we're doing, I think we're setting up ourselves that, as Adrian mentioned, if, God forbid, we have a disaster, a national disaster, we'll be in a very, very precarious position.
Now, if you did not see that broadcast of State of the Nation on Choice with the economist there, you had former ECCB staffer in Carlton Augustine, you have economists in terms of Cuthbert Didier and maritime specialists, and of course Dr. Adrian Auger, a developmental economist. Well, I can tell you the UWP definitely saw it, they felt it, they heard it, so they had to trot out their own squad to try to counter. The only thing was that somehow there wasn't much gusto there.
And the revenues that are still below the levels that we saw in the 2019 or even the 2018 budget periods. During 2020, we saw a lot of assistance from your IFI community, international financial institutions, that is. Are we expected to see international financial assistance in the 2021-2022 budget? And if so, what type of investments or assistance can one expect?
Thank you. What we saw in 2020 in terms of IFI assistance, it was commendable and unprecedented in many ways. And we don't expect that level of concessional borrowings to small countries like St. Lucia. However, we know we have the support of the World Bank and IMF in terms of bilateral engagements. We would have benefited last year, 2020, from what's called debt suspension initiative of the World Bank and the IMF, along with bilateral agencies and countries. So that came in quite handy. We got some debt suspension. It means that we defer those payments to a later fiscal period. We don't expect that level of support in that regard this year. However, the expiry of those debt suspensions would have been June, and there is discussion currently ongoing to defer that to a later time this coming fiscal year. So if we do get that, it will provide some liquidity and fiscal space. The World Bank in its economic outlook projects a growth of 3.3% thereabout for 2021. And so if things pan out in that regard, we expect revenues to improve. Once revenues improve, it means we would have adequate liquidity to clear up some of the payables, in addition to the regular monthly recurrent expenditure of salaries, goods and services, and debt obligations. And even 2022, they project a growth rate of about 11%. So it's looking up in terms of recovery. Notwithstanding, we are very mindful of the fiscal pressures on small businesses. Currently, out of the payable stock, about 15% of that goes to contractors. So it means these are small contractors that did works for the government and await their payment. Some of the others would be for institutions that we have obligations to. The commendation and recommendation, from both Mr. Peter Kane and Mr. Boland in terms of trying to release those funds into the economy, we are very mindful of that. So in addition to some additional offsets for tax liabilities, we will be trying to reduce the payables. We will be getting 2 loans are about to be disbursed to St. Lucia. One would be from the from ROCT, Republic of China and Taiwan, as well as from the World Bank. So that's to be received anytime from now, and that would certainly provide some space for the government to manage its expenditures. So I'm confident that we will be able to reduce that huge stock of payables over the next few months, and we just want to appeal to the public, particularly the small contractors, to bear with us a little as we try to undertake that, that clearing of our payables.
Thank you. Mr. Boland, sure, come in.
One of the things that I've seen that I do commend the government for is a sort of PPP arrangements that they have entered into, with some of their contractors. And, they've leveraged on the design build finance, again, to stretch out that sort of need to have the payables, instantly due. So it's something that I'm seeing that there's a need to continue that. I would encourage that as well, to alleviate the immediate need for cash outlays.
During and after COVID, is that, as we're finding out all over the world, elections that are happening after or during COVID, generally it's all about how the government handled the crisis and whether you were a good management during the crisis. And that's what's going to make a difference in terms of a government's electability or re-electability. And so to that extent, the budget had a lot about how good the government has done during the crisis for good reasons, right? I mean, that's obviously what they got to say. And I think, there will be some that perhaps believe, that there's certain things that could have been done better. There's still people that believe we should never have opened the borders. I'm not one of them. I believe, we had to do something there. But at the end of the day, and we hope, right, that the present trend will continue, because if it doesn't, and it starts to get worse again, and it shows that, like it's happening in Canada now, and the government is under a lot of pressure because of that. So I'd say that we realized as a government, as a people, that we had to make sacrifices.
Mr. Chair, with respect to the investment climate and whatnot, I'm hoping that it's not in a state of overcoming and that it's actually doing quite well. What do you say to the investment climate? Persevering?
Okay, yeah. In terms of the investment climate, what has been surprising, though, is that from the advent of COVID, there seemed to be a lot more interest in St. Lucia as an investment climate, as an investment destination. I'm not sure whether that has to do with perhaps promotions or the name of St. Lucia on the tourism standpoint, but there just seemed to be a lot more interest. And for our pipeline to actually grow during this period of time, it speaks volumes to the confidence that the FDI, the investors have in St. Lucia. In terms of resilience from the investor in Lucia standpoint, with the advent of COVID, what you found is that a lot of the promotion efforts now had to move online, and I think we all very familiar with Zoom, and I think perhaps a little more than a year ago, if you ask the majority of people what Zoom, they wouldn't know, right? So things have had to change, but the thing is, in order to survive, we have had to change. I think one of the things that Mr. Peterkin was talking about earlier, and Mr. Boland about tourism, what COVID taught us up front is the impact of tourism, the interconnectedness of tourism to the other sectors of the economy. Like it or not, that is it. Everyone suffered as a result. But what it also told us too is that there has always been a lot of talk about diversifying the economy away from tourism. Now we have to take it seriously.
So wait, people like Roderick Sherry talking about diversification, the same thing that Adrian Auger and Carlton Augustine and Cuthbert Didier have been saying, the same thing that the whole of St. Lucia have been saying, even UWP hacks like Timothy Polio have been saying, but Chasney's only way to diversify from tourism is through tourism. You see the problem? Now, give me credit, because to listen through all of that, to be honest with you, my only real question that I wanted to ask after that whole presentation is, how did COVID affect Weave? Because I could not understand, how does COVID affect Weave? Did the pandemic really just make... Anyway, I'll leave it there, because let's face it, folks. All we know is that between the budget and the Prime Minister and the government, everything that they're doing has nothing to do with fiscal prudence, vision, planning, any kind of economic strategy. everything that they're doing, they just throw in everything and the kitchen sink, throwing everything out there because it's all about winning elections.
So, Oje, yes. One of the statements, as you said, you were looking for some sort of an interim budget, a supplementary budget midway, somewhere around October or so. I think people were even expecting that around that time we would have gotten at least even a economic update as to where we would have been at that time. I mean, we're again another 6 months on from that period. But back in October, the government said we have no more money. And don't expect another sort of support or income support. Is there, do you think, an appreciation that we're still in a crisis? Do you think that the government does not think that we're in a crisis anymore and people are no longer in need of support?
I think it is necessary that people are made to believe that we are not in a crisis, and that, as I said in my opening comments, that we have done well and we will continue to do well, and by some good prognosis, largely of our own imagining, we're going to idle down into July, maybe have an election by that time or not. And I think the budget is trying to give that sort of optimism. Now, that is wonderful, and people need optimism, and the business sector in particular needs optimism. We need to survive down into summer and hopefully through whatever the election result is. But I don't think, again, that is enough. I believe that there has not been a consistency of strategy that we need, and there's not been a broad enough strategy.
Hey girl, what's your name? What's your name? Hey,
you're in a good mood.
Girl, if I tell you, I just pre-registered for the COVID vaccine. Hey, but yes.
Supporting you in getting vaccinated is important to us at the Ministry of Health. By selecting one of the options for pre-registering, it helps us to be better prepared and more efficient at managing your demand for vaccination. There are 3 ways to pre-register for your COVID-19 vaccine. 1. Go online by visiting https://hmi.govt.lc/. 2. Contact your closest wellness center. Or 3. Contact your private physician. When we get vaccinated, we don't only protect our health, we are taking action that benefits the health of our entire nation. Vaccinate for you, for yours, for us. A message brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Why would you want to become the island's minister with responsibility for home affairs?
I can be a better minister than the present minister.
Has Kenny Anthony made St. Lucia safer? He didn't, but we will.
I can be a better minister than the present minister.
He didn't, but I will. My fellow St. Lucians, this is the most important decision to consider in the upcoming campaign.
Why would you want to become the island's minister with responsibility for home affairs?
I can be a better minister than the present minister.
I have every intention to assist in whatever way, in whatever capacity, in wherever I can for the advancement of the people of Beaufort North. I couldn't believe Beaufort North in 2021 still have households that do not have pipe-borne water. But as the current government under the United Workers' Party, they did everything they could to get pipe-borne water for the people of Fonkapesh. And now that the people of Fonkapesh are enjoying this precious commodity, as we say, water is life, and that is a success story. And kudos to the government, the people of Fonkapesh, and by extension Beaufort North, they are extremely happy.
The preceding was a paid political announcement.
Hi there, this is an exclusive
You're watching UTV TV for you.
We're seeing official debt, which is when it's drawn down, but we know that there are hundreds of millions of dollars of committed debt,
which you're already carrying very soon. And it's going to come on the book soon.
Well, two things about the debt. You look at this debt, you look at the public debt, but this government has been playing a trick. They have separated the government debt from the other debt, like so the airport loan. When you had the debt to GDP ratio was, before the crisis, was 60%. That is only of the central government. But when we look at the overall debt to GDP ratio, we have to take into consideration the statutory corporations. But we're fooling ourselves. And the IMF have been going around now and warning countries around the world. They've been doing it, that this debt thing is dangerous. I mean, we've seen it. I pointed out around 2008 to 2012, St. Kitts defaulted on the debt. Antigua defaulted on the debt. Grenada defaulted. Dominica. And there was a fear that St. Lucia would default on its debt. In fact, the IMF had even opened an office in Antigua, anticipating that St. Lucia would come in for a program. But, well, due to the good management of Dr. Kenny Anthony, and I really am upset that St. Lucia never really gave Dr. Anthony credit. We look at things in terms of projects, we want things like DSH. But an important function of the government is to stabilize the economy. Macroeconomic stability, to me as an economist, is more important than building a bridge to nowhere. It is more important. The government has to create the environment for the private sector to foster. And the way they do it is through macroeconomic stability. And that involves keeping your deficits low, managing your debt, creating an enabling environment for people and individuals to flourish. It is not all about, regular projects. It's not about, having big projects. We have to create, and the debt for me is very worrying. As an economist, somebody who worked at the ECCB, the former debt economist for St. Lucia, I used to be very proud. I used to cut style on the other economists because St. Lucia fiscal situation is very good. We're in a situation now where we've gone backwards.
Adrian, not only that, but we're also seeing the use of local banks in borrowing as well. I think part of that $600 million includes $202.5 million from a consortium of local and regional banks. And that jumps the overall domestic borrowing from government to quite a bit, I think. It's almost 50% of what would be currently being carried by government, by those banks for government. Are you concerned that in the future, looking forward, that may very well cause some issues with respect to our local banking sector, taking on that amount of risk with government?
Yes, there are a number of underlying issues which you have to bring up as well. First of all, I think all the indicators are showing that there's excess liquidity in the banking sector right now. That's a double-edged sword. Number one, it means that there is money available looking for projects, and it should be looking for good projects, and it should essentially be looking for good projects in the private sector. If that is not happening, then as Carlton was saying, there's something wrong because it means government is taking up the slack, and that ought not to be the role, the primary concern of government. So what you have is governments using up the excess liquidity in the banking system to make things happen, to create the illusion of growth. But in some circles, we call that dirty growth. And because it's not sustainable, it does not produce a return to the economy over the long term, or even in the short term. What you have noticed over the last several months is a lot of start and stop projects where it is clear that contractors are being told, go ahead and start the project, and maybe there's initial burst of activity, and maybe that's funded, and then you see the project running out of steam. That is an indication that the cash flow is simply not there in the treasury. And where you should have a smooth implementation of work, you probably do not have the resources to support it. And the picture with regard to revenue and expenditure is very much borne out in the estimates and in the social and economic review, that we simply do not have the money. to be undertaking these large infrastructural projects. We don't have the cash flow. And so the impact on the banking sector is likely to be a more destabilizing impact than anything else. There's also the possibility that instead of fixing the macro environment, which Carlton spoke very eloquently about, government then becomes the doer and the maker of all things, and that introduces a very dangerous imbalance in the economy because governments are already large and already powerful. And so when you also add to that this blow, which we are seeing now, a lack of differentiation between the government sector and its contractors, and we know that there are very, very gray lines between the people who are making decisions about who gets what and the people who are actually getting the what that is being gotten. And one of my favorite phrases is, the cousin of my cousin is me. And if you look far, if you look well enough, you will find me in the contract somewhere. And this is unprecedented. This is dangerous. We've had a spate of director awards which has made that the rule instead of the exception. That is not the intention of the financial regulations. A director award is supposed to be done only when better cannot be done, or when there is some strategic importance or some overt justification for going outside of the normal practices of open tendering or competitive bidding, or some kind of transparent process for allocating work. So if, the cousin of my cousin is me, and all you are doing is just moving the money around from government to, special private sector interests, then you are really destabilizing the economy, and you don't have the cash flow to support it, then I think that's a very, very dangerous thing. We need to really return to much higher levels of transparency so that not only will things be done in the right way, but also the temptation to overcharge, to overcost, to over-design for that matter, which I think one is seeing. I mean, I'm seeing sidewalks along the Castries-Grosley Highway which are more than 18 inches deep. Concrete, that is over-design. And so when you have a design, build, lend, finance, both a type of operation, you have to ask yourself, where is the arm's length in the decision-making process? The role of the state is to ensure that every tax dollar is spent in the most efficient and effective manner and to get a good deal for the people of St. Lucia. If the cousin of my cousin is me, that is not going to be happening. And so we have to rethink the process of not only how much we are spending, but how we are spending it, and are we getting the best possible bang for the buck. If there is no arm's length relationship, then there is no watchdog function. There is nobody asking, how much is this mile of road costing vis-a-vis what it should actually be costing based on world standards, regional standards, precedent previously set. What should a mile of road cost in St. Lucia? What should a mile of sidewalk cost in St. Lucia? What is a reasonable return for somebody who is providing that service?
But I'm not sure if you actually even saw that contract. It was just up to a limit of $50 million. I don't know if I've ever seen a contract of that nature before. You can bill up to a certain amount, but you get paid for it even as the project is going on.
And then who decides when to extend that limit and by how much?
So let's explore this. Let's truly explore this. How corruption has crippled St. Lucia in a manner that has never happened under either UWP or Labour ever until this iteration of the United Workers' Party under Alan Shastney and the rest of the cabal. Now, you heard Adrian say it. Dr. Auger said, we've reached a point where contracts are going out to the cousin of my cousin, which is me. You have government officials giving contracts to people, and they, as in the ministers, are getting the benefits. And the excuse for all of this, or the justification for those who have lost their moral fortitude, is that it's creating employment. But even John Peters, a former civil engineer, chief civil engineer under Sir John, will tell you that it's fool's gold to believe that road construction is the best way to generate employment.
Yes, the people may be saying, okay, I have a smoother road now to drive into. But is that activity stimulating economic growth? Is that activity impacting employment? And I will say to you that paving of a road with asphalt generates the least amount of employment per dollar spent, because it involves the highest levels of the use of foreign exchange, because you have to buy the bitumen, which is the principal material within the asphalt. You have significant usage of diesel, which is an important material in the production of the asphalt. And a paving crew is probably about 9 people that you need to place asphalt on a road. So, should we be doing that?
Now, think of this contractor that we all know did not even have a truck, came into existence out of nowhere, fresh start. And think that you have close to, if not over, 100 small, medium-sized contractors. I don't have problems with C.O. Williams and Renault and those who have built themselves over time and through multiple administrations. And I have no problem with those that came up through CDP as small contractors and built themselves. My problem is that this government is literally cutting out 80 to 90%, if not more, of the small contractors in St. Lucia, medium-sized contractors, and only when they are out of money do they take the large contractors like a C.O. Williams or Renault. And then what they do is they take them and they do design, finance, build, which means that C.O. Williams has to spend his own money. Renault has to spend his own money and get paid years later. And yet Fresh Start is supposed to be so big already, from $0 to $400 million in 3 years. And that's what we know of in terms of work. And yet, when they tell you design, finance, build, they're already getting paid the interest and it's going to thief money mangal. How that's happening, nobody even knows. How can they get paid interest on a job that they haven't even completed? They've barely started. How can it's not been certified? How can they do that? But folks, if you go around this country, you go into Babono, you go Gara, you go Bogis, roads, about 8 or 9 roads, Fresh Start. The same contractors for everything is Mega, that's Gail's uncle and Ezekiel's best friend, is Skelly, is Nationwide, is FDL, is Fresh Start, and CPAL, and sometimes you'll get the other one there, Teams Inc., that's Saint-Ville, Guy's Poodle. Now, if you're telling me out of 100 contractors that literally only 8 or so are getting everything, just look around the country. You go and you're looking for roads, you're getting Fresh Start in Rodney Bay, you're getting Fresh Start in Marquis in Babono, you're getting Fresh Start in Lakai in Dennery, you're getting Fresh Start even in Choiseul. And that's why I keep telling you all, this foolishness that Bradley is not in league. Bradley and Stevenson King are worse than Chasney and Guy because they pretend to have a different demeanor. But at the core, for them to see these things happening, participate in it, and then pretend like they're not in it, that makes it even worse. So, let's show, for example, Fresh Start now, that, like I said, they're doing roads they did Diga, Lacouville, Bogis, Garin, Marquis, Lacaille, Rodney Bay, and now let's go Fresh Start, Park Estate.
Ozzy on the bubble and Johnny on the bubble list. So why can't I be on the bubble list? Somebody put me on the bubble list. I want to be on the bubble list. Somebody put me on the bubble list. Somebody, 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 somebody. I want a nice house. I want a nice car. I want to go on vacation.
Now, I'm happy for the people that get their road done in Plateau, in Babono, or they get done at Park Estate, as you've just seen in Choiseul. And I understand the politics. It's brilliant. It's brilliant politics. It's massive corruption, but it's brilliant politics. Here we are. If you go and drive on the main roads, right? If you go and drive, for example, Marisil, opposite Glass, you have to do how much Dalikau for you to get away from the potholes, right? The Viewfort Highway, when you see you come past St. Jude's and you're going up by the playing field, may say, you just whack-a-mole with your car you're playing, right? But you see the psychology of paving roads. Some of these roads haven't been paved in 20 years, successive administrations, because the logical and prudent thing to do would be to do the main roads that are most traversed by the most people and would be the top priority, just like people like John Peters have said. But politically, when you go in the middle of Debara and you pave a road that literally is going to nowhere, right? There are good 20 people that live there, but after you get that, nowhere. You know what? That's votes. That's votes. When people see roads that they haven't seen being paved, I mean Bel Air Road there, it's like Cap Estate on steroids. It's much nicer than Cap Estate Road could ever be. And you see people start to paint visions in their mind. It changes how they build homes, what businesses and shops they put up and everything. It is fantastic psychology. And the question is, will people remember the corruption? That literally Fresh Start gets 1 in 3 of every job in St. Lucia, and all by direct awards, overpriced. And what's even worse is that when they bill with their overpriced figures, like that Geno retaining wall there, costed by the Ministry of Communications, Infrastructure, Stevenson King's ministry at $300,000. You don't hear them. One thing Guy Joseph don't get in cost overruns. Wow, yeah. You know why? Because if you can say that a retaining wall on a road that costs $300,000 and you get a direct award and you get the government to guarantee a loan, for $3 million. I mean, how can you have a cost overrun with that? It's plain and simple. But the question is, will St. Lucians care by the time they go to the polls if they have a nice road there after they have been starved for the last 4 years and nobody's going to ask about the gas tax? A government that marched about a fake gas tax. They put a gas tax. Nobody's had an account for the roads built with the gas tax. Now in the middle of COVID, they're taking COVID relief money to do road projects, and they're doing the roads in areas so that people have been underserviced by successive administrations, and they're getting the wow effect from that. But you see, even if it's all corruption, the justification, just like Bradley and them, they say, yeah, they can destroy the Peters. Bradley saved a windmill. He saved a windmill because he said it was of historic value and heritage, and it could, but yet he's allowing Ans Levoin, he's allowing them to build on Gopito, and he doesn't care about the heritage or the historical significance of our most important symbol, the most well-recognized identifying mark of the entire Caribbean, not just the OECS or the Windward Islands, the Peters. And the whole justification is people are getting jobs, they're getting labor. And yet you have John Peters telling you that the labor part of it is highly overrated. It's the least bang for the buck. But then what about the environmental cost? What about the sand mining? And for those who think Bradley's not just like the rest, listen to the artful lie. An artful lie to tell you that sand mining and desilting, well, desilting is the new sand.
So the obvious solution immediate solution is desilting, and I say desilting / sand mining because it seems to be, a very popular expression nowadays when we're trying to resolve a matter. And I say desilting / sand mining because it seems to be, a very popular expression nowadays.
So when you have a spineless, corrupt person like Bradley, who is in league with people like Guy Joseph, because Guy Joseph, make no mistake, is the Prime Minister's Prime Minister. And if you listen to the contributions of Sarah Flood, you listen to contributions of people like Bradley and so on, Stephenson King, all of them talk about how when a certain point this came that, and Guy Joseph had to come in, and once there's concrete and steel, Guy is involved. Spell steel however you want. My point in all of this is, Choiseul is Guy's pet constituency to plunder. And all of these same operatives, Skelly, Nationwide, CPAL, Fresh Start, all of them have been plundering, and they billing for sand and other materials while they have been sand mining through the consent of Bradley, because Bradley, as a little bitch now, just wants to get his election projects too. So he and Darian can continue to get good. Fantastic, right? Give the contracts to one set of people only. There you go, fantastic. But folks, I want you to see how obscene it is. When you see 20 trucks, 30 trucks a day, bringing sand all the way from PI. We're going to Balambush right now, but bringing that sand all the way to Gros-Islet, all the way to Soufrière, all the way to Dennery, all the way to Micoud, Vieux-Fort, all over, plundering the resources of the area. And I want you to see, this is on an off day, just the kind of volume of sand that they call desilting. And you see the kind of sand mining. And don't forget, Tiff Money Mangal have his own pito down behind in Bexar side there, in Cul-de-sac, sorry. He have his own pito of sand from those same people. So you saw it. I tried my best to give you an appreciation for just the enormous volume of sand that is being plundered on a daily basis, not on a month. What you saw there is not what they stock up and they, every day, every literal day, scores of trucks from all over, all of the henchmen are taking all of that sand, and then more has to come, more and more. Because you have to win election, you have to do the little projects, you have to get the money, use the direct awards, pad yourself, take care of yourself. Ede Koyo. So now I want to go to a company called Nationwide. And Bradley, I have a question for you. Because you will say that in all of this, and your operatives will say, you're generating employment, even though John Peters has demoted that. But for the little employment that it does create, right? Just like with COVID, you borrow $500 million and you create in construction 2,000 jobs. But, I mean, let's think about that, folks. $500 million for you to create 2,000 jobs, and they're not permanent jobs any which way. 2,000 jobs for $500 million worth of borrowing? I mean, do the math. But I'm going to take you now to another part of Choiseul, Roblo. I just want to establish that Nationwide is doing roads in Choiseul. So to Bradley Felix, I now ask you the question. The whole justification for your insidious partnership with Guy Joseph and the rest of the cabinet so that you can keep the seat in the same way that you will not explain or call a press conference to talk about the GP group, the Bulgarian bobolists that ended up being put in jail, that you all were supposed to do the Shozel Sawisha project with, and how much campaign finance those people gave you in the 2016 elections. My question to you is simply this. If you are in bed with Fresh Start and Nationwide and these companies, and the whole point is supposed to be that they are to generate employment, then tell me first of all why St. Lucian's in the middle of COVID, after Pinkley and them already letting Chinese come into canals, 200 Chinese going to be coming, and they already started arriving to build the canals project when we have massive unemployment. You're going to watch me and tell me that you have Nationwide sending home people from Morgouge who work in, you want close Morgouge, I can tell you from Jetwin, I can tell you from Choiseul village itself, Saltibus, and there are people as far as Auger, all the way Tiroche, Miku, all these workers that have lost their jobs on Nationwide's work there. Why? Why? Because Nationwide, under Bradley Felix, Alan Shastney, Guy Joseph, Stephenson King as the Minister for Labor, and all the rest of that cabal cabinet, Gale and all the rest, can you believe that they are bringing in Cubans? They are bringing in Cuban workers to work in these projects in the middle of Park Estate and Roblo and all these places. Cuban workers. Now, I have nothing against my Cuban brothers and sisters, the same way I have no problem with Trinidadians or Dominicans and Sister Isles. But let's just think about this, folks. Under the communist system of Cuba, a doctor makes 40 US a month. So when they rent rooms and they rent apartment buildings for the Cubans, and they have a good 20 or 30 of them so far, and they bring them in, these people will get $300 in a month, right? The average solution will get $1,000, $1,005, that kind of a thing. Because like I keep saying all the time, a mason, a carpenter, a steel bender, any tradesman gets between $150, $180 a day. In COVID times, it might go down to 100, or when they're trying to exploit labor on the St. Jude site, they drop it all the way down to $50. But I'm just saying, you'll pay these Cuban workers $300, $400 a month. They'll even have enough when they send 50 or 100 US to their family back in Cuba. That's like winning the lotto over there. But here, these Cuban workers now are taking the jobs of broke, unemployed St. Lucians now in COVID times, where y'all saying that the justification for these projects is the labor. And of course, unlike the Beaufest man and Champagne and Dr. Sequet and all the rest of them, I have to have proof. So I'll show you when they first came in. Nationwide had what they call a party for them. Let me show the first picture. You don't know these Cuban guys? Don't know any of them? Okay, show the next picture. Right. So you see them there? That's some of the Cuban workers that are working for Nationwide while they have sent home St. Lucians, scores of St. Lucians from their election, direct award, road, and other projects. So then, Bradley, if you still want to play like you don't know that that's going on, then let me show you them on one of them on the construction site. Let's go, yeah. And can we zoom in on that, because it's not just one of them. You see? Same machine, you know, the Nationwide machine, same equipment. Zoom in as close as you can. Right. So you'll see, Cuban workers, with 2 months before elections, massive unemployment in this country, and Bradley Felix has Nationwide doing roads in Roblo with Cuban workers while the St. Lucians are being sent home. We can come off of that, because doesn't matter what I say, right? Doesn't matter what evidence I put out, right? Doesn't matter, because according to people like Guy Joseph, it's a foregone conclusion. Forces that are much greater than any amount of facts and conviction of the St. Lucian people, pride and patriotism, have already decided the election.
That's the devil. They know men. Well, we all are political. We are the best person to be political because in true speaking, we are the ones supposed to lead the country. I'm a Vanapastra, Brahmin, they are the ones supposed to lead. They are the ones supposed to tell you which is right and which is wrong. Advisor. The head of the state supposed to take advice from us.
My grandfather by father's side, that's Albert Sukwa, he was kind of a mysterious person from what we understood. Yeah. He was very strict, a man of his word. Whatever he said, he stood by it. So, and they seem to have practiced a lot of, I don't know whether it's voodoo or whether, I wouldn't even say because it's not witchcraft as such, but they had certain powers and they had certain connections with the spirits that they could have accomplished certain tasks.
He came back, I told him, yes, you'll win it.
Team for Castries Southeast Guy Joseph has predicted that the United Workers' Party will be re-elected into office. But not only that, Joseph is sure that 5 more seats will be added to their wins. He made the predictions Monday evening.
The parliamentary representative for Castries Southeast is expressing confidence in the work that the UWP administration has done and is predicting that the party will return to office. Joseph, during his Monday night program, spoke of the work that he has and continues to undertake in his constituency. Joseph is predicting that he will receive more votes in his constituency based on discussions with the residents.
I'm not saying this out of to make the Labour Party look bad or anything. I go throughout the community and key supporters of the Labour Party have come in and said to me, look here, this time around we are going to support you. And they didn't say they're going to support me because they want a favor or they want a benefit. They are just happy with the work that we have done in the constituency.
Joseph predicts that the first seat to be won during the upcoming general election is the Castries South seat, currently held by Dr. Ernest Hilaire.
I am telling you, as a boundary constituency, the number of people who have come to me and said that look here, this time Castries South is coming home.
That is for sure.
To the United Workers' Party. Sure. And from all indications, there are surprises in politics. The surprise would be if we don't win that seat.
I believe
the surprise is not if we win it. The surprise is if we don't win.
I agree.
And I said it on your program. And I said it in, I'm not sure if it's on your program. I said it in Parliament. I believe, I am 100% convinced that 5 of the Labour Party seats are in contention to be won by the United Workers' Party.
Yes. So the phone lines are open now, 5727-588 and 484-7588. Simple question. We can talk about anything, or is all of the corruption, the nepotism, the economic depression and targeting, the victimization, the vindictiveness of this government, the Prime Minister, the poor health response, the crime numbers, is all of that, does that not matter? And according to Guy Joseph, will the UWP not just to keep the 11 seats but add 5, so 16-1. 16-1 to the United Workers' Party based on their performance. I mean, who feels it knows it? You're on the ground. So you tell me, or are we under a spell? Did the broom sweeping work? Did the flag hanging off the bamboo, the yellow flag, is that what it takes? Is it going to be decided by your conviction, or is it going to be decided by witchcraft? I mean, you tell me. I don't know. We have a call. Good afternoon, caller. Hello?
Yeah, Mr. Hunt.
Yes, sir.
Oh, boy. I know you know which boy, boy. I will tell you who I am, boy. I'm Edmund Maffray, boy, from Manipur.
Okay.
I'm the man you played in Apple Stock Show, man.
Ah, yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, man. Man, sometimes in life, when a man reaches of age, he thinks like a boy going to school. And when I look at this UWP administration, there's a lot of big boys, man, of age. And they still think like toddlers. Men that still suckle their mother's milk. No, man, I am not joking about that, man. I don't know how to communicate it all riddles.
Why do you
I
say
saw
that?
you saw a clip there when girl say she gonna, where guy say he have another 5 seats.
Yes.
But I'm from the Miku North, and this time out, girl is getting a run for a lifetime, boss.
Why do you say
As the one who, she's gonna get a run for a lifetime.
Why?
For her money's worth. I was the one who also said on Trisha Lionel, when she go, the first ball on the toilet bowl, she'll have a light diarrhea. The second one will be a hard shit. And the third one is a hard diarrhea. That's going to come for she, man. And in this country there today, man, I'm dissatisfied. Look, for example, you have an issue where you have the police station at Grosley. Huh?
Yep.
That could be renovated. You're going to take a building from Wickwin. It's not that bleeding the country of its resources.
But do people
You have
care?
a police station right there in Viewfort, man.
But
that need to be fixed, you're renting.
But that the Viewfort police station is ridiculous. All it was a mold issue, and now you're paying $38,000 a month to rent another space while a perfectly good building is there.
Mold, and that was housed by the Library Credit Union. So where are we going, boss man? And I also mentioned in Apple's talk show conflict of interest.
Yes.
There are a lot of guys that are inside of there as government people to represent the people, and they are more attached to their business. When you look at Chasney is a prime minister, and they have Colony House. Colony House is being, 4 departments being rented for government. So where
6
we are,
now.
boss man, in this country? We're still talking about police stations because that is why I want to talk. And not this place when you're going up to Tapio, where that you used to house the mad people. Take one of the state-of-the-art police stations with a headquarters and everything.
Yep.
Now, you want to know what I'm watching there? You see the same police station that is downstairs, Blue Coral, that they're renting? You know that new building they built up, that new Julian's building by the Valley bus stand? Watch and see what it will be housed for upstairs. Watch out and you will see. Because they're already complaining the conditions that they're ready, or the working environment that they're already having downstairs there. And man, when you look at Chasney, by far, he is the worst prime minister. I don't care who want to think, who want to go high, who want to go low. Chasney is the worst borrowing minister of this country. When you watch an airport, man, an airport that could have been built by the PPP for 40 years or 15 years, and you borrowed $400 and $600 million on the backs of Centusians. Why Centusians have resources to pay that? The only resource we have is the banana industry. We cannot run away from that. We saw what tourism did. These fellas are afraid of investing in agriculture, afraid of investing in the people to open local businesses, man.
So, caller, can I ask you a question? You're on the ground. Do you believe people care about the corruption, or are the election projects working on people's minds?
Man, I think there are some people who also speak about the corruption, but these fellas are so open and bold that they do it in direct awards. So they are so open and bold. That's why I already said, man, we have 2 prime ministers in this country, you know. We have Prime Minister Guy Joseph and Alan Chasney. When Guy Joseph tells Alan, shut your mouth, man, and eat my shit, he does that. And that is the way I'm going to finish it, man. Whether they like it or not, these fellas are just an eat shit government. Waste of time.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much. We still have the other call on hold. Good afternoon, caller.
Hi, good afternoon, Chris.
Thank you very much for holding.
How are you, Chris?
I'm blessed, I must admit.
So, in order for me to say happy birthday to you?
No, well, I take all the birthday wishes I can get, but every day above ground is a good one, so I'm having a good day.
Okay, my brother. So I wish you all the best and many more years, yeah?
Thank you.
All right. So, boy, the question I like to ask, Chris, did Guy Joseph say he sensed that the Labour Party going to lose 5 of the seats that they presently hold?
Yes, and he is guaranteeing that Ernest, because don't forget, Castries South, all the contracts that Johannes was giving out there, Big Daddy, Bertram, that's all through Guy Joseph, through CDP. And that's been going on for 3 years, so I never understood why Buffalo and Mary and all of them thought that there was any chance that they would run the seat, because we all know Guy is in charge. and he has been infiltrating that constituency for a while. And he's saying he is almost certain that that seat, he will be surprised if Ernest Hilaire's seat does not, or Castries South does not go to Bertram Johannes, and the rest, that's 16-1. So Shasney is going to win 16-1 by the time elections are in June, I guess.
So, Chris, again, I ask the question. If guys feel they're going to win 5 of those seats, which will make it 16-1, why they cannot call the election?
I don't know. Maybe they...
To me, any political party who feel they have a strong chance of winning 16-1 would call the elections right now. They would dissolve parliament and call the election.
I agree totally.
So why is not calling the elections? Guy call the elections. and now, Guy has something doing. For the longest while I noticed that, and I think it is because he is out of ignorance. You know, he likes to use scripture, you know, to manipulate people's minds. You know, always make people believe, well, he and his wife, they just pray, you know. And he always using some kind of scripture verse, you know, because people believe Guy is such a Bible man, a Christian, you know, a devout Christian and things so. You know, but that ain't gonna work, you know, because I suspect even the 43% that they banked on, they took advantage of, not even them that's sure of voting for him. You know, not even the 43% that they can bank on.
So
every time they have a poll, it says exactly what he's saying there. That 16-1 that he's talking about is that.
So, caller, you are on the ground. You between Laclery, Grosile, and all over St. Lucia. You're on the ground. Do you see a 16-1 for the UWP? How do you feel things are right now? Do you think the election projects are working? Shasney's glorious budget speech performance and all what they're saying that they've been working and doing for the people. What's your take?
Chris, I am not any fortune teller. I cannot tell exactly what it is. All I know is, based on the way that this UWP Alan Shasney-led administration is not treating the people correctly. They're not treating the people right. They are not doing anything in the interest of the people, and so the people are disgruntled, and they are going to vote them out en masse. That is what I strongly believe. You know, the way these people, I heard Fortuna Belrose made a statement, and everybody feel well she should not have said it. They feel right now that she should have apologized.
She said, I'm happy she said it, because it's their truth, it's how they operate, and I'm happy she said it, because she didn't say it as an admission of guilt. She said it as a matter of pride. So as far as I'm concerned, if that's how your house slave mentality has come to the fore, so be it. Better you know.
Exactly, but Chris, there is a saying, and it is scripture. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Exactly what Fortuna Belrose said. Exactly what she said. That's how they operate in. It's happening in all the 6 constituencies. You know? So she spoke the truth. She spoke the truth. You know, I don't know how much. I suspect there is a nail. One more nail in the coffin. You know? But I'm telling you, St. Lucians are not happy. St. Lucians are not happy. Everybody, they feeling the pain. And they will get what is coming for them. You know, it will come.
Okay,
it will come.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling. We have a caller that's been on hold for a while. Thank you, caller, for holding. Hello? Oh, we lost that call. Well, folks, what would you do if you were Shasney? You're an amoral person. You have a whole transactional cabal just trying to keep the gravy train rolling. Even if there's no gravy, they'll borrow gravy from the IMF. You know what I think? And I'm telling you, all the frustrations St. Lucians have now. You remember when Shasney put the ban on alcohol? Do you remember all the memes and little videos when he lifted it? People, all the thing, yay! as if Shasney that took the alcohol away, and when he give it back to you, people were grateful. So what's to say if they take a month and bathe the country with millions of dollars of ill-gotten gains, and they liquor everybody up, and they put the trucks, and they give the young girls the money to come on the truck and put top up on their phone and buy that one an iPhone and this one, that, and the other, and give a contract $3,000? How do you know? Tell me it will not end up with Guy Joseph 16-1 and the broom sweep in town. Good afternoon, caller.
Christopher, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Christopher, I do li encore. First of all, before I say what I have to say, let me do your bagay. Shasni prefer tout ça il fait. Il peut mener Krishna, Pashna, Krishna. Ça il mène pour balayer chimia. Shasni même ça, yo puis. C'est pour ça qu'il a fait quelques bagay qu'il a fait là, et puis kabay la left, right, and center to country direct order, etc. So, pas supposé worry about that. Sure, there are some stupid, unthinkable type of people, I understand that. But at the end of the day, chasse n'est pas rien. Avec moins douli, il pas rien. My minister dit ça, Guy Joseph. Guy Joseph suffering from a disorder, lying disorder, which cannot be, you cannot get in any dictionary. Or any health doctor can tell you anything about Guy Joseph. That's it. Now, at the end of the day, I listened to Mr. Philip J. Pierre, where he made a statement about the forensic. I'm very glad to hear that, because I understand forensic, where it deals with the direct awards, etc. I'm saying to you today, you see that statement Mr. Pierre made there? PSs, Director of Finance, people working in the Treasury, not people, when I say people, the people, thank God they changed Miss Son, although she was there before that. But a lot of heads will have to roll within that forensic aspect of it. That's why I have said to you, I understand governance, and I know there are certain things Mr. Pierre can say, and certain things he cannot say. And I'm telling St. Lucians, bear patient. I know Mr. Pierre, Mr. Healer, Dr. Kennedy Anthony, and many, don't talk for the lady herself, Miss Emma Hippolyte. These people don't eat nice. St. Lucians, do what you have to do to change the government, and everything will fall in place.
Okay.
Because not everything they can say, people. You'll get a little tip of the iceberg when Mr. Pierre mentioned about forensic. So bear patient. Mr. Pierre will do all what he has to do. He knows better. All right? Thank you very much.
Thank you, caller. Thank you. Merci apil. We'll take another call. Good afternoon, caller.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Thank you for holding.
All right. Thank you, caller. Thank you.
Go ahead. Don't listen to your device. Just go ahead.
Hello?
Turn down the volume of your device or mute it, and just go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, so
Hello?
caller, what's happening? You listening to yourself on the radio or your television or computer? You need to turn down the volume and go ahead. Let's go ahead.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
We'll try one more time. Caller, go ahead.
Yeah, Christopher?
Yep.
Let me tell you that the two person we missing there right now is Trisha and Jadia. We want Trisha and Jadia to campaign for us. We missing something. Yeah? We're missing something.
You want which Trisha? Trisha from, as in Trisha from UTV? Trisha Lionel?
Yeah.
And you want Jadia, as in Jadia Jean-Pierre, to campaign?
Jadia Jean-Pierre, my boy. We're missing them two people.
To campaign for who? To campaign for who?
For Labour Party. How you mean for who?
I have to ask.
So we want them on the show.
If Trisha and Jadia campaign for the Labour Party, what will happen?
That's the people that giving you are Trisha and Jadia. That is the two powerful women we have. Right? That the girl we have on the party there, that goes to Lapo, man. Give Krisha and Jadia a chance, man. Because we want to win that election. The election too soft, man. We want to win the election.
Caller, but let me ask you. Guy Joseph is forecasting, predicting, and he, like you said, he has higher powers.
Guy Joseph
16,
has nothing, man.
16-1 for the UWP. What do you feel? What area are you calling from? And
I calling from Labrie.
Okay. Well, what is the mood on the ground as you move around that coast, as you go to Vieux-Fort, Labrie, Auger?
That's a Labrie self. We don't have to campaign in Labrie. Labrie, nobody can win Labrie. You see Labrie self. All we have to do, that's why Labrie, Bellevue, and them places, we have to afraid, man. Just let them people have excitement. Just let them people play them games. Yeah, we undercover, brother. Yeah,
but Labrie has so much UWP interest that they have.
Labrie have too much UWP interest. Because we can even steal Jean-Pierre by the beach.
But you have Jean-Pierre, you have Cameron Law, you all have multiple people looking to run that seat.
That's all that shit. I tell you. Let me tell you that, Christopher, the only man that could give us a run, and the only man that's popular in Labrie after Alva, is Sean. And that man doesn't pull up election, right?
Who's Sean?
That's the only powerful fellow we have, other powerful fellow we have in Labrie.
Who is Sean?
Huh?
Sean who?
Sean Emmanuel.
Oh, okay.
Right? And that man not in politics.
So
and that's the only man.
So what about Jean-Pierre?
A thing. And nobody else.
What about Jean-Pierre?
What was you? I tell you, Jean-Pierre is a shit guy. So Jean-Pierre can't even talk to him about Jean-Pierre.
Okay, caller.
Christopher, Jean-Pierre is a shit. I tell you, you have to study about Labrie. We're good in Labrie.
So what about the other constituencies? That means that's the only one the Labour Party will win, and Guy Joseph will be right. The other 16?
No. But Christopher, we're sleeping too much. We're sleeping too much, Christopher. Christopher, I want JD to be, and I want the same girl that on your show, JD what's her name?
Treasure.
No, what is Trisha. That's what that woman powerful. When that woman talking, Christopher. When JD and Christopher, we need them two ladies on the show. We need them two ladies.
Okay. All right, caller. I'm sure they've heard, and hopefully you'll get a favorable response one way, somehow. Thank you very much for calling.
Thank you, my brother.
Yep. Okay, folks.
Take care.
We have one more. Last caller. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Let me tell you, it's time Lucians realize, and them politicians is really disrespecting people. That, them kind of political tricks, every election, that is the time you all want to do this, want to do that. And when election done, everything stopped. That is a bounce and draw thing. That is no positive, permanent employment.
But
that's not what...
Doesn't it work, though?
Well, to tell you the truth, Lucian is a type of people. It might work on some people. It will not work on some people. But it might work. Because the way Lucian speak, I remember from 79 election, when the man said he would put a gun to people's head and they put him off on timer, you know, next thing they put him back. It's like Lucians already know what they want, you know?
Perhaps.
And that is not a really UWP party. This is a CJR party.
CJR?
Chasney, Rigobot, and Guy party. That is not a St. Lucian UW party.
I think you might have another couple names in there. That's why the FFF kind of works better.
But these are the free maiden, you know, people running things.
So, caller, do you believe Guy Joseph is accurate? Do you believe that it'll be 16-1 in favor of the United Workers' Party?
Let me tell you, even though he did what he did, it looked like he did some kind of, how do you call that? VHS.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
No, but if someone, you are that can predict that, you know what you've done.
Well, if the man has his powers to put chess on people, who am I? What can I say? So I'm asking you, do you believe he knows something or he's done something or something is in the works?
If he can say that, he know he did something. that is all it is, you know.
All right, caller.
But it's time Lucian have to rise, man. We can't go through them kind of things, you know. Man disrespect. That is our man. That is too much, man.
Agreed. Thank you, caller. Thank you very much for your contribution. Now, folks, again, I want to thank everybody for the birthday wishes still coming in even as I was on the air. I hope to go and spend at least a couple of hours with my parents and my daughter immediately after I leave here. But like I said, I'm very thankful and appreciative for all the well-wishing, and I'm thankful to be alive to experience life as one more day, and I don't take it for granted, even if I probably did in the past. Nonetheless, I want to leave you with a long parting clip. It's a long one, but I think it's important because one of the things that's happened in St. Lucia is that we've become so desensitized that we have a problem discerning what is authentic and genuine and what is plastic. And in the same way that the Prime Minister is a plastic Prime Minister and all he delivers are plastic things like AstroTurf and all the rest of that, I also think that when it comes to the marijuana legalization or the industrial hemp, which is not the same as marijuana, but industrial hemp movement and everything, I think there's been a genuine deceit from this government. And I think it's a teachable moment that people should take forward as we head into the election season.
Good morning, members of the Lucian Cannabis Movement. I have news that everybody has been waiting for the longest while. Minister Bradley Felix just called me and said at the cabinet meeting yesterday, the cabinet of ministers have all agreed that they want full legalization for industrial, personal, sacramental, and medicinal use. So that is done. They want to present to Parliament and ask for a vote of hands, and they don't believe that any of the opposition ministers will not vote for it. So when that happens, they believe in 3 months' time we will be fully legalized. So before Christmas, gentlemen and ladies, we will be a legal country where you could burn your weed and nobody gonna lock you up. So victory. Today is a victory day.
Studies have shown drugs, including cannabis, alcohol, and many others, are most effectively managed within a responsibly regulated public health framework. Cognizant of the tides of change, Mr. Speaker, and calls from the public and other stakeholders, the government of St. Lucia, being mindful of the need for reform concerning its cannabis laws.
6 months later.
But I was expecting to hear that bold pronouncement yesterday with respect to the legalization or decriminalization of marijuana.
I'm on mother son. How I telling you? Man, I want to see get to survive, son. That's burned down my family already, son. Yeah, f***ing police and them roll on me, they burn down our family. I'm on mother son. Everywhere clear now with them and make us wash everything we had, cut everything, harvest every we had, son. See it? Yeah, sir. Every time you try to do something for your family is a stress, a thing, you know. That's burned down man there, sir. Just try and survive there, little 2 trees there. Yeah. See the farm, them and wipe up everything, eh, Papa? Everything, eh? Trying to feed the youths, you know. Watch what happening there now. Yeah, the man just roll on me there, yeah, sir. Burn me there, how much police SS, you know, they still give me a chance, you know. Yeah, they'll chop me and my boys, they give me a chance. They just burn everything, which I get. They just burn everything, give me and my boss a chance. Fellas mash up everything on us, dog. You see the kind of feel out there. Yeah, them police guys, SSU, I roll on me there.
While the world celebrated 420 or World Cannabis Day today, the 20th of April, cannabis enthusiasts on island are expressing disappointment in the UWP administration for not fulfilling its promise of cannabis law reform. In 2020, government agreed to proceed in drafting legislation for cannabis reform, but it has yet to materialize. Enthusiasts have apologized to cannabis supporters for believing in what they say are proving to be lies. Nisha Charles begins our report.
The conversation surrounding cannabis reform in St. Lucia is nothing new, but the outcome of several discussions have left a sour taste in the mouths of cannabis enthusiasts. While the rest of the world celebrates the strides which have been made towards cannabis reform across the globe, St. Lucia continues to wait for movement on its cannabis reform laws. Enthusiasts took the opportunity to highlight the evidence which shows the benefits that cannabis can have on one's economy.
Cannabis is not all about smoking. Cannabis is a whole industry on its own, which can provide over 6,000 jobs for our population and put 50 million annually in the coffers of government. This was established by the Cannabis Report, which was headed by the Cannabis Commission. So there's no secret about it, the impact cannabis can have on our economy. And to support and to eradicate unemployment, cannabis can do so much, a cannabis industry can do so much for our population and our nation.
According to Alexander, there should be no apprehension about decriminalizing cannabis at this point, since regional counterparts have taken the leap. Cannabis enthusiast Andre De Caris said St. Lucia should be a lot further in capitalizing on cannabis for economic growth.
We were told that we would get cannabis law reform during this term, and the term is up and nothing has happened. People are still getting busted, and it's a very, very sad situation. That, you know, and I personally, who actually was letting the public know that this was going to happen, I apologize to all of you all. I was misinformed by this government, and as a result, I was led down the garden path. Many of you all told me that their politicians don't believe them. And after 5 years, I concede defeat, and I believe I was duped by these politicians. They seem to have no intention to do it. So my apologies to the people.
Despite volatility,
Yes, my ganja planter. I'm looking for my ganja farm. Deep down in the earth, let me pull me ganja. Babylon coming to get ya. Yes, I'm my ganja planter. I'm looking for my ganja farm. Deep down in the earth, let me pull me ganja. Babylon coming to get ya. Ba ba da 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 da. La 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 da 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 da.
So them coulda give it to them sick patient. Make chemists get enough medication. And so them coulda brew new medication. Make singers get some inspiration. And so them coulda spread a message bandel and ya chant. Yes, I'm a ganja planter. Call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth we may put the ganja. Babylon come and light it at a fire me a chant. Yes, I'm a ganja planter. Call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth when me put the ganja. Babylon come, watch it. Come and say ganja, 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 ganja. If you don't want to call it that, call it sensimania. If you don't want to call it that, call it marijuana. If you don't want to call it that, call it the indica. And from me bun it in a chalice and a sheet of paper. Lord, see me love me ganja. Some ganja planter. Call me the ganja farmer.
Okay, yeah.
I'm a
Ganja planter, call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth, when me pull me da ganja, Babylon come and light me up on fire. And no, I'll give you the beating. Okay, so 3, 2, and 1. Okay, so we'll start again. So 1, 2,
3, and yes, I'm a ganja planter. Call me the ganja farmer.
I want a plosive.
Okay.
Babylon come.
Baba, really, okay. Baba.
Sorry.
Think of Baba Ganoush or of Beelzebub. So it's Beelzebub, the devil.
Or ginger beer.
Or ginger beer, non-alcoholic.
My favourite.
So Babylon. So Babylon. 3, 2, 1.
Babylon, come and light it up on fire. I'm a ganja planter.
Call me the ganja farmer. Deep down in the earth, we put me ganja. Babylon, come and light me up on fire.
Thank you.
That was good.
So I'm a ganja planter. Call me the ganja farmer.
Hey, yo, madame, qui position moi les marijuana? Moi dit si décision c'est ça, moi pour faire. Moi ka aller bordelais. Et puis personne qui la jole, except pour marijuana. Si décision c'est ça, moi pour faire. Moi ka lâcher yo. Et moi pas juste lâcher yo pour aller la caillou, mais moi ka mettre des marches en place pour machine mener yo la caillou.
We lick the chalice, make the water go.
The opinions expressed on this TV program by the host, co-host, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of UTV or its affiliates.